What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and then I have some new news concerning Floyd Mayweather Jr. Get this. Floyd Mayweather sends this post out on his via Instagram, and this is what he says. He says, please hit the follow button if you want to follow a humble student, teacher, mentor, and coach in the sport of boxing. He has all the credentials and qualifications to support why I recognize him as an elite boxing coach, something that nowadays many unqualified people claim to be. Follow at Mark Breland. Then, of course, we had icons like Sugar Ray Leonard, like Mark, I wish you well, my man. I've always been proud of you as a fighter, boxer, trainer, and man. Okay. And I'm going to stop there. Let me counterpunch. Now, you guys know that Floyd just didn't out of the blue put this. Okay? He put this subliminally, and you know who he was talking about. He was referencing Deontay Wilder. Okay? He was referencing the fact that Deontay Wilder has lost his last fight with Tyson Fury. He's got another trainer. And we know what happened between Wilder and Breland. Okay, they split up. They parted ways due to the fact that Breland threw in the towel early without letting his other team know that he was throwing in the towel. But he threw it in anyway, and Deontay Wilder fired him. But the icing on top, though, here was the kicker. Wilder said that he thinks that Breland put something in his water. That's why he wasn't at himself, or he wasn't feeling well, because of that particular notion or feeling that he felt Mark tampered with his water in some kind of way. So at that point, we heard Mark Breland was crying outside the dressing room. We talked about that, how true that was or not, that they fired him that day. Shelly Finkel said he didn't get fired, but ultimately he was fired. Okay, so he wasn't there, and, lately he's been training with Ronnie Shields down in Houston with Jamal Charlo. Okay, so he's keeping busy as a trainer. But then why would Floyd Mayweather indeed come out and say that now? Okay, he meant that for Deontay Wilder to see it. He meant to show, hey, there's nothing wrong with Mark Breland. There's nothing wrong with what Mark Breland did. Mark Breland did what he felt he needed to do because he was the one that was hired, because he was the one that was qualified to take care of Deontay Wilder as a trainer supposed to do with a fighter. Okay, and it's one of those things. The question is, we know who that was for, but then the number one question is, who was he talking about when he was referring to unqualified people? Okay. All right. So if you want to backtrack, he did say, like, hey, nowadays, many unqualified people claim to be where Mark Breland's at. That's the $1 million question. Could he be talking about Malik Scott? You know what I mean? Because if he was talking about Deontay Wilder, and I know damn well he was, because that's who he was with for a very long time, over a decade long with Deontay Wilder, then he must have been talking about Deontay Wilder's trainer now. That would be my best guess. Now, mind you, this is all subliminal. This is all a subliminal message to support Mark Breland in the midst of Deontay Wilder losing to a new coach. Okay, and what does that reflect? Let's be real. What does that reflect? That reflects the fact that, hey, it didn't matter what trainer he had, he still got his ass whooped. That's what Floyd was saying. He fired him, and it didn't matter who the hell he had. He didn't have me, so if he didn't have me, he still got his ass whooped. Tyson Fury still kicked his ass for the third time. So we got to show Mark Breland props, because everybody tried to throw him under the bus, following Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder needs to worry about Deontay Wilder. It ain't nobody's fault at the end of the day, because it's only you in there fighting. The trainer ain't in there with you. The trainer can't fight for you. You fight for you. Right? So Floyd did that. Okay? And Floyd's at that point where he wants to say something, but he ain't going to come out and say it. He's going to say it in another way, and this is the way that he said it. Okay? He said it the way he wanted it. And so now he's congratulating Mark Breland because he wants people to understand. But Is this necessary? No, it's not necessary, but he's doing it nonetheless because, as you can remember, a lot of followers, a lot of sheep, okay? Flock will follow the leader, regardless of where the leader leads them. And where Deontay Wilder led people, they had everybody, a lot of people, not everyone, but a lot of people against Mark Breland. You know what I mean? And if they didn't think it was right, they're not necessarily going to come out and say it was wrong. That was the problem. Because they didn't want to say nothing to their about their almighty king, Deontay Wilder, which it was wrong. Because it's one thing, hey, I fired him because he threw in the towel. But it's another thing, he should have kept it at that. The day he decided, or the time he set to place his lips towards saying that I think Mark Breland spiked my water, okay, that's wrong on so many levels, but that's also, a potential criminal situation that he put himself in. Okay, and I have a totally different video that's concerning criminal stuff concerning that whole situation that happened in February on the 22nd. But, Floyd is just letting people know, hey, it's okay to follow Mark Breland. He believes Mark Breland did the right job. He said all that without even going into Wilder, but he was talking about Wilder because that was the big thing was Mark Breland. Did he spike the water? Did he do that? He had people thinking, oh yes, since Deontay thought he did it, so we must think that shit too. And a lot of people rode with that shit. How many videos did you hear about spiked water and believing Mark Breland would do that? And to this day, Deontay Wilder will say that Mark Breland was envious of him. So it is a good thing. It's positive that somebody on the statue as Floyd will come out and say, hey, support and follow Mark Breland. Because I follow him and I know he's a man of honesty and I know he's a man that knows what the hell he's doing. So follow him. You think you think he ain't necessarily in cahoots with Jamal Charlo, really, right? So that wouldn't be the reason. He did that because he wanted to really, in his own way, clear Mark Breland's name. And this is a hell of a way to do it with the followers that Floyd Mayweather has. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of Floyd Mayweather's statements towards Mark Breland, indirectly towards Deontay Wilder, and maybe Malik Scott. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.